On this episode, the sale happens when value exceeds the price. Hey everybody, this is the Quarter Show again, and one topic that has come up a lot recently, and I was talking to a couple different people about it internally, is there's this age-old thing, and I assume everybody knows this, anybody who's in sales knows this, but value has to exceed price. Value has to exceed price. But let's just drill it down a little further, because we know that the way human beings are rigged, right? If they're spending $20,000, okay, they're going to spend $20,000 on something. They're inclined to hang on to their $20,000 as much as they can, and it's more valuable to them, right? The $20,000 is more valuable. They don't want to spend it if they're not convinced that the value of what they're buying, the thing of what they're buying, is going to have some net effect that's going to offset the $20,000. It's going to be greater than $20,000. So they have to be thinking, okay, if I'm spending $20,000, I'm going to somehow figure out this is going to help me close this deal that's $2 million, let's say, or $100,000 or $250,000 or whatever. But they really have to be, this is not a cliche thing, they really have to be sold on that. They really have to be like, the second the prospect is thinking in their mind or is convinced in their mind that the thing that they're buying, let's say, has a greater value than what they're spending, and it's going to create a better income. So for us, if clients come to us and do a strategy and it's $25,000, and they have 10 sales cycles that they're trying to close, and each one is worth $2.5 million to them, and if they could just push 2 over the edge, that's worth $5 million to them, and they spend $25,000 to get there. That's just an unequivocal, very simple equation. There's here's a $25,000, let's get this done. How fast can we do this? Because there's an urgency there, because it's going to help push even one deal over the edge. It leads to $2.5 million. We're dealing with a client right now in a very similar scenario. They're going to spend XYZ amount, $25,000, $30,000 dollar figure, and one sale for them is like $2.5 million or more. It's very simple, because when they're sold on the idea that that's going to help push that deal through and get the $2.5 million, the $25,000 is just not a big spend, or the $30,000 or $36,000 is not a big spend, because it's helping them get there. And this is so critical in sales. And when you run into a prospect there's trepidation and they're not moving, and it's just it's like a mule, it's like they're stubborn and it won't move. It's 2 things, and I'll talk about this on another show, but it's, you've got the wrong person, check that point.
Yeah.
Or number 2, the thing that you're selling, they're not convinced that the thing you're selling and the money that you're asking for is greater, right? The value is not there. They don't see the payback or the return on the cycle. They're not there. There's some lingering concern there. They don't see the value coming back to them, and they're not sold on that point. And therefore, the money in their hand, the money in their account, is worth more in their account than the thing that you're pitching them.
Yeah, and a quick note on the wrong person thing. It's just so true, because when you have the wrong person, they're often motivated by it's almost a reverse of what you're saying, in terms of they don't want to spend the money because the penalty of spending the money. You have to overcome the penalty that they're feeling of needing to get that budget or spend that money. They're not interested in growth a lot of the time. They're not motivated by, is the company doing well, so I'm doing more well. When you have a power player, when you have a person who is motivated by growth and company expansion, that's why you need to get to that person, because then they have to measure value. If you have someone else, they're not measuring value. They're measuring their bean counting, and they're saying, is the penalty for me spending this going to be worse or less, or who's going to think about is somebody going to think badly about me for spending blah? And it becomes this other thing.
Yeah.
So you have to go to the right person, and when you get to the right person, I left a message for a client earlier today, great client, and I closed him on a great video, because it turns out his think and the way he thinks about his business and what he's trying to do is very similar to yours. So it's very similar to the culture of Richter's. And so I stopped selling him on the price and it wasn't even down to, it went above like, you have all these email campaigns, you get the video out, more clients will reach, you get the revenue driven. It wasn't about revenue. He was trying to build something. That's all. He was gangbusters for like creating, building, and his own personal, not legacy, but his own personal, I did this. I put this in the world, I built it, and I built it big, and it was awesome for me. And so that you have to find the motivation. Like, it's gonna be value. It all boils down to value.
Look at a stock thing, for example. Let's say you have a company that's about to go IPO. You have a Facebook about to go IPO, or some company is about to go IPO. Like, heck, when Uber goes IPO, right? And you start looking at this thing, you think, if the person who's buying stock, and I've traded a lot of stock in my life, if the person who's buying stock, if you have $10,000 to invest, or $50,000 to invest, or $100,000 to invest, and they'll easily spend the money. I'll easily do a $100,000 transaction if I firmly believe that Uber is at $20, is going to go public at $20, because I firmly believe that it's going to go to 40 or going to go to 60. And let's say it goes to 40. I buy it at 20, it goes to 40, and I spend $100,000. I firmly believe my $100,000 is going to turn into $200,000, and then it becomes a no-brainer. There's no nervousness. I just hit buy, and $100,000. Even if it doesn't, the most important point is that I firmly believe and I'm convinced that it's going to go to 40, and my 100 is going to turn into 200. And it's the same in sales, and it's the same in anything that you're selling. They're going to hang on to their money if they think their money is more valuable than the thing that you're selling. And so that means you have to really look at it and go, okay, well, how do I get to the right person? And then how do I increase the value in their mind and show them the value and paint the picture and ensure that it's there, so they understand and they know that when they spend the $40,000, that unequivocally they're gonna be getting greater value, more than the $40,000. And so you take anybody, even me for Richter, it's like, I'll spend a ton of money to get more. And it sounds kind of greedy, but
not more
like,
money.
I don't mean more money. I mean more traction, more growth, more this, more that. So if I'm going to do this strategy or invest in this for my sales team or marketing or whatever, if I think that's going to help move our numbers from, let's say, this million to this million, I'm just all in. I'm just going to do it. If I'm completely sold that it's going to do that, and then it's like, how fast can I get the $40,000 out the door? I'll just spend it. The only reason I wouldn't spend is because I'm not convinced it's going to do that. And so when you look at a sale and you look at a prospect, it's like that's what they're dealing with, and they won't move and they're stuck. It's like that's what you're hitting up against. You have not really gotten to the right person and made the case for the value in their mind, that they really believe it's worth more than the cash they're spending. And that's what you have to accomplish. And it's such a simplistic concept, but value has to be above cash. And when that happens, that sale's happening. It is happening. It is happening. And it's not happening because you haven't done it. So really make sure that you're there. And if you're not, keep prodding and probing and handling until you are there, until they're absolutely convinced. And just telling them, by the way, it's going to be great, you're going to make more money. That's not going to work.
And don't just bring the price down.
Yeah, and don't just bring the price down. You don't need to just bargain the price and drop the price and discount. And don't just say, it's going to be great, you're going to get an ROI. It's like, show it, prove it, convince them, evangelize, right? And take them there where they are convinced and evangelize on it. And they're like, I believe fully that this stock is going from here to here. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, how fast can you make the transfer of the 100,000 into the account? That's what happens. And that's when the sale just becomes like butter. And if you can't get there, then there's probably a problem with your product or service or what you're delivering or value prop, or something's wrong, right? You got to work on your communication strategy. You got to work on your value prop. You got to fix your product. You got to fix your quality control. Something's wrong. But if it is in, and you're just not expressing it, and you're just not revealing it to them, and you're just not doing a good job there, figure out how to do a better job there to really take the value way up here, comparative to cost, comparative to price, and the sales will just trickle over, fall over the cliff, just boom, 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 boom. It's going to keep happening.
Yep.
So anyway, that's the point for today. It's been coming up a lot. Hopefully that helps you. Just remember that, keep that in. Value has to be greater than price. Okay? More coming at you soon. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. right there. We really appreciate it. Appreciate you watching, and we'll get more at you soon.